I need to stop listening to myself just for 1 second. Like, I do not have all the answers. I couldn't trust my thinking because my thinking had gotten me to where I was.
I am in such denial that I can't see it. I was terrified. Like, I had to change one thing. Everything.
It's Ashley.
And Cindy.
And this is Life4Dummies.
That's us. We're real dumb. We decided today on Life4Dummies that we want to talk about gratitude because implementing gratitude into your life is like literally a surefire way to like be happy.
100%. Tell me how.
Well, the first thing that I do every morning when I wake up is I write a gratitude list. So every day I write 5 things that I'm grateful for. And then I take it a step further too. I write why I'm grateful for them.
Why would you be grateful for them?
Well, when you maintain an attitude of gratitude on a daily basis, it keeps you in this like positive space in your mind where, you realize how great your life is and you can't let all that negativity that your brain wants to tell you is there because it's really not there. Like the gratitude keeps that at bay.
I hear you. Yeah, like for me, because mental health is part of my past history and I currently utilize the principles that we talked about here in this podcast and the 2 things in order to feel good every day, then I just need to make sure that whenever the mental health stuff starts to arise, I turn that around so that I can feel good.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So mental health issues are real.
Yes.
It's not just something made up. Some people suffer from depression, anxiety. I am one of those people. I suffer from that. So, when I work on having a positive mindset and remaining in a state of gratitude, it's really a lot easier for me to not allow those things like depression and anxiety to overrun my life and take a hold of everything that I've worked so hard for and make it seem like it's just terrible.
Yeah, and so when you say work hard, like what do you mean?
Well, making a decision on a daily basis to not act out on my addiction, it's hard. But it is a daily choice. It's a daily decision to not act out on these behaviors that make my life unmanageable. So if I start my day off with affirmations of gratitude, then, it just puts me in this mindset where, like, I can begin to realize, like, how great my life actually is.
Yeah, I was reading or listening to something this last week, and it was talking about how sometimes the very first thought we have when we wake up can complete the trajectory of our entire day. Because let's say, I wake up and I don't feel that great, I'm in pain, and so I mentally think, oh, I don't feel good. Well, the rest of that day, I will be more prone to finding things that make me not feel good. Whereas if I first think, okay, no, I have a lot of things in my life that I'm grateful for, and why don't I just do some stretching this morning and see if I can't loosen my body up to make that pain go away. Just that short split-second thought from the negative to the positive can change the entire trajectory of my day and bring good things into my life.
Yeah, that's a really good point, Ashley. Like, it's really easy to let a negative thought process ruin my life. So, when I wake up in the morning like you two, like the first thing I do is I think of all the wonderful things I have going for me, all the wonderful people I have in my life, and literally I am just grateful to be alive today. Where once upon a time I would wake up and be like, God, I can't believe I woke up again. I wish I was dead.
What's an example of that scenario for you?
Well, I had one night where I was mugged, and I spent the night on my stoop because the person that mugged me took my keys and threw them, and I couldn't get inside. And I some homeless people actually walked me to a taxi stand, and the owner of the taxi stand let me sleep in there, and he called the cops. And the cops woke me up, and I just thought to myself, I wish I was dead. How
Yeah.
did this happen? And I know how it happened. Things like that, unfortunately, always happened. Um, but now, when I wake up now, I don't wish for death.
Me neither. Yeah, I used to have a lot of those examples in my life. I remember there was this one period when I was much younger and the disease was pretty much out of control, actually, and it was one of my first rock bottoms. I just recall not remembering the latter half of the day before, right? And waking up an hour away from where I had been that day earlier, the day before, and it was in the house where I was living at the time. But I just remember waking up day after day with the same experience happening, and the first thing I would do would grasp my chest and just think, how am I alive right now?
Yeah, it's like Groundhog's Day. Ooh, that was a doozy to get out. It's like the same thing keeps happening over and over again, and I wake up every morning and I just don't want to be alive anymore. And it's such a terrible place to be. And like, you said, let's talk about mental health. Well, let's talk about mental health. Like, that is a horrific place to be in your own mind. And you're like wrapped around this feeling of impending doom.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you just don't know how to get out of it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's real. Like, I today tell myself that the thoughts are not true and they're lies, and move a muscle, change a thought.
Absolutely. Feelings are not facts.
Feelings are not facts.
Who would
And,
have thought?
right? Most of the time, everything that I used to feel, I was like, that is the truth, and therefore everything is at the end of the world. Because I felt so bad all the time.
Yeah, feeling bad is terrible. And that's why we want to help you, you know, be a happy person and be happy now.
Be happy now. I mean, even today, I still struggle with negative thinking. I don't know if it completely goes away, but what I don't do is I don't let it escalate in my life. The escalation is the problem. I'll let it come and go and tell myself feelings aren't facts. What is true is that my life is great. And then I'll think of the good things in my life, and then I just allow the feelings to expire. Did you know that I heard a psychologist say it takes about a minute and 42 seconds for a feeling to transfer through our body? And most of us go our entire lives trying to avoid just a minute and 42 seconds.
Yeah, that's literally crazy that we are so frightened of our feelings that we will do anything and everything to stuff them down and not feel them, to numb them, to make them go away.
Well, feelings are very powerful. I mean, you're the psychologist, right? In the room between the two of us, your degrees would say it anyway. And you could probably give us a little bit more insight into it. I don't really know the biochemistry behind it. However, I do know that it seriously feels like it's the truth and the entire world when feelings are happening.
Yeah, when feelings are happening, it is intense and it feels extremely real because it is real. Feelings are real. We are full of emotion as human beings. So when these things happen and we feel certain things so intensely, and I know for some of us we feel more intense than others. fears. We just do. For some of us, the feeling is so intense and it's frightening. So a lot of times I react out of fear. And fear will keep me stuck in a place, like I said last time, where it's more comfortable because I know exactly what's going to happen. And I stay stuck in that fear because I'm afraid of the unknown, which is also another fear. So fear is tricky, It works against us if we allow it to. I've had to learn to change my fear into something I like to consider it excitement and a journey. So
Okay.
if something sparks that in me and I get that little feeling and I don't know what it is and I'm frightened and I might have some fear, I have to take a little bit of a deeper look into it and realize that okay, what's this fear from? Is it because I'm doing something that I've never done before? And then I can turn around and be like, you know what? It might be the most exciting, most wonderful thing that's ever happened to me. Why am I fearful of this?
Interesting. Just changing your perspective can really change your life.
Absolutely.
Well, let's take a break right here and come back, maybe talk a little bit more about fear and gratitude.
So, yeah, we were talking about gratitude.
Yes.
Yeah. So, like I said before, when you wake up, write a gratitude list.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's really hard in the beginning to find things that you're grateful for. So just start with 3.
That's a good point. Like what?
So every morning, the first thing I write is, I'm grateful for my life.
Yeah, because you would be dead.
I totally would be dead. I mean, it's a miracle I'm not dead. Literally.
I mean, I laugh, but
yeah,
it's true.
Well, if we don't laugh, we'll cry, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, every morning, the first thing on my list is I'm grateful for my life. Number 2 is I'm grateful for my higher power. And then number 3 is I'm grateful for my recovery.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and that's every morning. Every single morning. Those are the first 3 things on my list.
What about this higher power thing?
So yeah, it has taken me a long time to be able to say that I have a higher power. Because when I was, in active addiction and acting out on all these behaviors that made my life unmanageable, I really thought that. So in the same breath, I would tell you I didn't believe in a higher power or God, whatever you want to call it. But I would also tell you that God hated me.
Oh, yeah.
So I was very confused about what I thought. So it took me a long time to get to a point where I realized that a higher power, it doesn't have to be a religious thing, because that's what I was stuck on. I was stuck on that it was a religious thing. And for me, it's not. A higher power is literally something greater than myself that guides me on a daily basis, that loves me unconditionally and only wants the best for me. And that was a huge realization for me. When I was able to open my mind up and be open-minded and not so closed-minded about a higher power, and wrap my head around the fact that I didn't have to be in control of everything, and all I had to do was the next right thing, and there was something greater than myself guiding me, it was a game changer.
Game changer. Cindy was there when it was a game changer for me too. So
yes, I actually told Ashley one day, I was like, I'm kind of afraid of your higher power.
Yeah, and I should have been afraid of my higher power at the same time. For me, though, it was my lack of understanding of of who God is. My higher power I choose to call God, and I was a revert, they call it, to Catholicism, which is where I left the church at an early age and then found my way back later on after exploring various amounts of religions and no religion and spiritualities. and even different types of Christianity for a while, but everything from Taoism to Hinduism to Southern Baptist Christianity to agnosticism, and I found my way back, but I still had this idea that my higher power, God, hated me.
Yeah, and that's like really a common theme with people who struggle with addiction is that your higher power hates you or God, whatever you want to call it. Um, because we have been living in this negative space in our minds for so long, and we have so much guilt and shame built up within us about our behaviors, that it's really easy to think that, you know, somebody is punishing us, someone hates us, and we're just not okay with it. When the fact of the matter is that like I hated myself more than anyone else could ever hate me.
That touches home, yeah. And that was the problem. Like, I was projecting my own belief about myself onto who I thought God was.
Yep. Ding ding ding. Winner. Winner right there. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it took a long time, though. I mean, what I had to do is I had to hang out with people who loved themselves, and I also had to hang out with people who showed me true love and affection and care for who I was as a person, not for what that they would gain from me.
Yeah. So when you start to surround yourself with people that actually just want the best for you, but don't want anything from you in return, that is a moment of like pure peace within, I think.
100%. Because I don't know about you, but sometimes I feel like we live in a world full of take.
Mm.
Like everybody's just trying to get the next one, get the next thing, get the next hit, the next high, whether it be, the likes on their post, on their social media account, or whether it be like the people paying attention to them at the job or in class or whatever, right? It's just people are looking for that constant hit of feeling good. And what happened with me is that I ended up putting up a lot of walls and a lot of barriers to people because I thought that they just were trying to get from me.
Yeah, just we are. We do. We live in a world full of just instant gratification and like what can I get from you? What can you get from me? And I'm going to get you before you get me.
Yeah. And like that's a lot of the dating world.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like so bad because people are just out there to like attack. And that's the exact opposite of relational affection.
Yeah, and the cool thing is like I realized on this journey of recovery that like to honestly like let somebody in and know what I'm thinking and feeling and like my deepest personal thoughts, like there's some people that actually really care and want to know about me. And like it's a different level of intimacy, and I always thought that intimacy was like sex.
Mm-hmm.
And like there are levels of intimacy that where literally like there are people that know everything about me, and I'm not fearful, I'm not afraid, I don't put walls up, I'm not afraid that they're going to use it against me at some point. They genuinely just love me, care about me, and want the best for me, and want to see me succeed in life and just be happy.
Yeah, like authenticity takes a lot of courage today because everybody looks perfect and it seems like their lives are perfect, and it's because we live in this social media era, right? Where there's a lot of editing going on and there's a lot of pain being hidden behind the scenes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I read something yesterday that said we are just imperfect people trying to be perfect.
And what's so interesting is that that's the uh, like crust, but what is that word?
Cusp?
Of it all. Like, oh my gosh.
I'm here for the solutions, Ashley.
Real dumb. That's the what did we just say?
We were talking about imperfect people trying to be perfect.
Oh, right.
And you said it was just the cusp
of it all, because like perfection is a lie. If we look around, even at Mother Nature, like everything is in progress, it's growing, like nothing's progressed to perfection, right? It's not like completed, it's in motion, it's moving. If we look at like, even just like astrochemistry or like on the biological level, right? Like of evolution or the cells of the human body, like what lay beneath it? It's energy, right? Energy and frequencies and motion. Essentially, everything is in motion. Mm-hmm. And for us to fool ourselves in thinking that there's something in this lifetime called perfection and we're to attain it and be it, that's the exact opposite of the truth of what's happening around us at all times.
Yeah, trying to be perfect almost killed me.
Wow. Well, that's let's go there. Let's go there. What are you talking about?
Well, I thought if the number on the scale was just right, and I looked a certain way, and I dressed a certain way, and my hair was a certain way, and my makeup was a certain way, that everyone would think I was perfect, and the only person I was fooling was myself. So trying to maintain and trying to become this perfect being was literally killing me. I was starving myself. I was numbing my feelings. I was doing everything and anything possible to portray this perfect person. And I was taught that, after realizing that this is not attainable or achievable, that perfection, if we were all perfect, this would be a very boring place to be.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't have any wonder.
Yeah. It would be just,
completely known.
Yeah.
There would be nothing awe-inspiring, and that itch that keeps us human and wanting more would suddenly be realized, and it would be done. And what would we do then?
Yeah, and I am literally the only person that expects me to be perfect.
Yeah, that hits home, I bet, for a lot of our listeners too.
I'm going to tell you this right now. No one expects you to be perfect.
Yeah, and like the more authentic we are, the more free we become. And the more freedom we have in life, the happier we'll be. And so the less we can focus on perfection and the more we can focus on progress, the better.
It's progress, not perfection today.
Exactly. Like, I am progressing towards my finer self and have been on this journey and have come very far very quickly, and I'm not afraid, but instead I'm very happy and very free.
Yeah, it's just amazing that, what I said before, progress, not perfection. That if I am better today than I was yesterday, and I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that I do better tomorrow, then that's all that matters. I just have to be a better person today than I was yesterday. That's it. I keep it really simple because I'm real dumb sometimes.
Yeah, same. And I mean, the reality of it all is that you can do it too. If you feel stuck inside of your head, if you feel like you have to be perfect for this situation or that experience, you don't have to be. The only one telling yourself that is you. And if people have told you that over the years, then maybe they're not the right people to listen to anymore. I mean, Cindy and I, we had to change everything. We had to stop listening to the negative that we found in our life, and then we had to start finding the positive. You can do this too. You're on your way listening to us today.
Yeah, it is literally like one simple step. Well, two.
Change your perspective.
Change your life.
Yeah.
And that's all you have to do. You know, this thinking that I have all the answers, I have to be perfect, I know everything, you know, take the I out of it.
Mm,
You
yeah.
know? Like, I literally know nothing at some times. Nothing.
Yeah, when we really think about it, like we're extremely limited in our thinking. I mean, we don't even use the full capacity of our brains, right?
I mean, I think I use 98% of my brain, but I know that's not true.
You're so funny. It's like reversed, Cindy. It's like we use 5% of our brain or something like that.
You are correct.
It's so funny. Yeah, but if we just kind of take a step back and recognize that we're finite people, like one day we could wake up and suddenly not be here tomorrow, right? And then even in our thinking, like we have limited thinking. We don't, know everything that's ever existed. We've only been alive for however many years we've been alive, right? And this world and this universe has been around for 13.8 billion years. That's a lot more than you and me.
Yeah.
And yeah.
We are like we are a little tiny speck of sand on the beach. Literally. That's all I am. And I'm here for a very short time compared to everything else around me. So like I just have to be better today than yesterday. That's it. And I can't let what other people think of me influence me. What someone else thinks of me is none of my business.
Yeah, I like that. None of my business.
You know what? I want to tell you something.
Okay.
So I heard this once, and it speaks about perfection. So there was this little woman, and every day she had two pots that she carried to the pond to get water for her house and her family. And one day she realized that one of the pots was cracked. And she thought, I need to throw this pot away and get one that's not cracked because it'll carry more water. And as she's walking back from the pond thinking about how she's going to go to town and get a new one, she looks down at the ground. And on the side where the pot that's cracked is, it drips water to and from. And all the way there, there's wildflowers.
That's beautiful.
And on the side where the pot is perfect and it doesn't drip any water, there's nothing.
Yeah, we relate actually to things that are not perfect because we're not perfect. So we're actually more drawn to it if we stay humble and true.
Our perfections are what makes us beautiful.
Imperfections?
Yeah, that's what I meant. Came out wrong. Yeah, our imperfections are what makes us beautiful, and that's what made that walk for that woman to the pond beautiful, was that imperfect pot. Dripping that water, providing beauty for everyone in the village to see. And that's like us. We're imperfect people, and that's what provides our beauty, our imperfections.
Yeah, so it's just about getting ourselves to that place where we're comfortable in our own skin in order to be imperfect in front of others.
And that takes some bravery and courage.
It really does. Let's talk about it when we come back.
Sounds good. So we were talking before we took a break about bravery and courage, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I used to think that I was like not brave and not courageous, and I thought that I was fearful and afraid of everything. And it turns out that I was, because I was stuck in that fear. So literally, like the best thing I ever did for myself was ask for help. And we talked about this the other day, that like asking for help is very brave.
Yeah, it takes a lot of strength to be able to, at the moment, admit defeat when in reality I've come to learn that it wasn't necessarily admitting defeat, it was finally accepting freedom and happiness.
Ooh, that is just a huge shift in your perception right there.
Exactly. So when I change the perception, then I can change my life. And surrendering to something that's outside of my control and finding acceptance over it allows me to do that, change my perspective, to change my life.
Which actually results in the most freedom that I've ever experienced in my whole entire life.
Right, exactly. Because, like, for me, a lot of the chains that I had in my life were self imposed.
That self-imposed prison that we talk about.
Exactly. And so a lot of the fear I had was fantasy.
Yeah, like I would make up all these scenarios in my head and like have all these conversations with people that were never really happening. But I was so terrified by all of these made up scenarios that I literally like wouldn't do anything else because it was just so scary in my mind. How does that even what?
Yeah, it sounds scary. I wouldn't want to be in your mind either back then.
Yeah, it was not pretty. It was very frightening and it just kept me in this like loop, like this triangle of self-obsession where all I thought was about myself and how everything and everything had gone wrong. It was like this self-centered, selfish thoughts all the time.
And what's interesting is that, like, I just want to feel good. And I'm sure those listening want to feel good too, right? And a lot of the times we're actually doing the exact opposite thing to make us feel good. So, how can we feel good, Cindy?
Well, there are some key things that we can do to feel good. So we talked about one earlier, changing that negative self-talk into positive self-talk, which is like really hard because I know for me, I talked to myself negatively for so long. My internal dialogue was just so damaging that it took a lot of practice to be nice to myself and be kind to myself and tell myself loving, kind, caring things.
Yeah, like for me, you're right. I just kind of thought negatively about everything I was doing, and I put so many constraints on my progress that I couldn't even move. It was like I was frozen in my own self thinking. And really, all I wanted was to be able to experience freedom, happiness, serenity, security, and safety. But I was the one keeping myself from those things.
Yeah, that's usually how it works, right? We create this place. So I like to call this place my warm, comfy, shitty spot. That's what it literally is. It's a warm, comfy, shitty spot where it's really comfortable because I know exactly what to expect and exactly what's going to happen every time. But it's horrific because everything I feel is full of guilt and shame and it's terrible and I just want to get out of it, but I don't know how because I'm trapped in this self-centered self will and it's just horrific because I feel the need to control everything. And when I finally let go of that control or that idea of control, because honestly, I have no control over anything except myself, how I respond and react to things. When I let go of that sense of control, I gain so much freedom in return. And then I can be happy. And then I can be joyous. And then I can experience life as it truly is.
The other thing that happened to me, and yes, absolutely, to all of that, is when I finally started to accept that things were outside of my control, and just about everything, about 99% of the things in our lives that happen are out of our control. The only thing I have control over is how I react to things that happen to me, right? And then also how I allow myself to feel about it. But for me, like, because I was trying to play God in my life, I ended up creating more havoc because these things were outside of my control to begin with. And so when I tried to impose my self will on these things, it just made it worse. The other thing that happened is that I didn't really know who I was. And so,
Mm.
therefore, I was putting myself in situations that I didn't enjoy. And I ended up being super unhappy over them.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I have learned that the most important relationship I'm ever going to have is the relationship with myself. And if I don't know who I am and what I like and what I want, then I'm going to continue to put myself in uncomfortable situations where I'm not going to be happy. And I'm not going to experience life the way that I really would like to, because I just don't know who I am and what I'm about. So I've learned, through this life of recovery and living certain principles that once I let go of everything I thought I knew about myself, then I was really able to find myself.
Yeah, like I spent a lot of time searching.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember being in high school and reading Socrates and Plato, Aristotle, the early philosophers, and all I was looking for was the truth. And then I spent the next decade or so on this search for it. And in the interim, I was forming myself extremely malleable to different ideas of what I thought I should be because I was told you could be whoever you want to be. So then I tried to become different versions of a person, and each version made me sad, made me lonely or isolated, or put me in situations or relationships that I did not enjoy. And it wasn't until I let go and stopped trying to become that I was able to allow myself the freedom to find out who I really was and how to make myself happy.
Ooh, freedom. It's like freedom of choice right there. You know, freedom to choose who you surround yourself with, freedom to choose on how I want to live my life. There's so much that comes with that freedom. You know, when I can stop living in this self-imposed prison that I have been stuck in for so long, so many doors open up to me, so many opportunities are there, and it's just absolutely amazing. If I change my perception, I change my life.
Yeah, and a lot of it has to do with love. Like,
Mm.
because I would put myself into situations that were unloving to me. Maybe it was a job that made me, hurt myself physically, like harm my health because I was overworking and I was working too hard for it. Maybe it was a relationship that was codependent, and so therefore I was harming myself, doing too much for the other person, and therefore not being loving to myself as well. Like, what I had to do is I had to let other people love me until I could love
Mm.
myself. And then once I truly knew who I was through that experience of real love, I was able to blossom into a place in life where not only I was comfortable with who I am, but also I was pure joy, pure happy.
So you're saying that, like, I can surround myself with people who make me feel safe and loved, and in turn love myself.
Right, yes.
That is so interesting, because that's what happened for me.
Tell me more.
Well, like I said before, I literally hated myself. I didn't know who I was, and I was so afraid to find that out, because what happens when I start to try to find out and then I don't know who this person is, right? It's scary and it's heavy and it's a lot to deal with. But you know what? Like, finding people who made me feel safe, finding people who knew who they were and what they liked and what they wanted, and allowed me the opportunity to just figure it out for myself without them imposing their thoughts on me. Because that's what I had always done. I was like a chameleon. I would take on what you liked and I would make it mine because it made me feel a part of. And that's what I was always looking for, was like to feel a part of something. And because let's face it, I was just never comfortable with myself and who I was. It was very confusing to me because I had portrayed this person with all this self esteem and self worth when I was just a frightened little girl inside. And then surrounding myself with all these people who just loved me and supported me and just wanted the best for me was amazing. And that's when the magic starts to happen.
Yeah, like if we can't even spend 10, 15 minutes alone with ourselves, then we got a problem. Like, we definitely don't love ourselves because we want to spend as much time with the people we love. So if we're avoiding who we are and we're filling up that time with other people and their happiness, what about your happiness? You deserve to be happy too.
Everyone deserves to be happy. No one should be walking around, in this terrible place in their mind where they feel like everyone's out to get them and no one loves them and no one wants the best for them. That's a scary, sad place to be. And when you can open your mind up and start to think that maybe I don't have all the answers and I don't know everything, and you can let some other people in that can help you with that, that is just truly a gift you're giving yourself. And once again, that takes a lot of courage to do something like that.
It's why we call this selfish program. Because honestly, like, I am a selfish person. If you try to come into my life and bring a lot of chaos with you, I'm sorry, but you're out. Like, I have worked too hard for peace, serenity, to allow any kind of havoc in anymore. You deserve just as much as what we have as well. And a lot of the times, it's about getting honest with the people we choose to let into our lives. Not everybody is happy or healthy. And there are people out there who will steal our happiness so that they can have some of themselves. The truth about happiness is that there's an infinite amount. We all can be equally happy, and there's still going to be left over more. So find your happiness. That's what we want for you.
Yeah, anything that causes you your peace is entirely too expensive. That is too big of a price to pay. If someone disturbs your peace, then it's time to set some healthy boundaries. And that's hard. Boundaries are hard, you know. No one wants to impose a boundary on a family member or a loved one or whoever they may be. But if they're disrupting your peace and happiness and they're stealing a piece of you every time they're around, then you have to limit your contact with them. And that's okay, and you don't need to apologize for that.
Exactly. It's a selfish program. We can be selfish today in the sense that we want to make sure that we ensure what's best for ourselves. We want to make sure that we have the ability to thrive in life. If we look around the universe and open our eyes and see, we see an abundant universe. It's just walk outside, look at all of the trees, look at the birds chirping and things are growing. There's more flowers than we know what to do with. That's what our life should be. It should be filled with abundance and growth, progress, and joy. If we find ourselves in places that are very dark and despairing, it's time to get out, and we'll help you get out.
We definitely want to help you get out. And you deserve to get out. Because everybody deserves to wake up in a life where they don't want to escape. And that's the thing. Like, the idea here is to create a life where I don't need to escape on a daily basis. And that's what we want to help you do. We want to help you implement gratitude on a daily basis so you can wake up and be grateful and choose happiness on a daily basis, because it is a choice. I can choose to focus on all the good in my life and all the wonderful things I have going for me, or I can choose to focus on all the negative. And when I make that choice to not choose negative, then I am once again choosing happiness.
Both Cindy and I have come from the dark places. I used to be really obese. I used to lock myself in a room and struggle with insomnia and depression and thoughts of suicide. Today, my life is a complete opposite. I'm happy, healthy, free, in the best shape of my life, and truly love every minute of every day. And you can have that too. We want that for you.
We absolutely want that for you. And it is attainable. And a lot of the stuff we talk about, you know, it happens pretty quickly. Like if we remove the things that are harming us and we implement these new changes and we change our perception to change our lives and we implement these principles that we're going to be talking about, the change happens pretty quickly. It's actually quite amazing how quickly we can change our thinking and our mindset by doing these things on a daily basis. But consistency is the key. Like we have to make sure that we're doing it every day. You can't just do it some of the time and expect things to get better. This is something we get to do, and we get to do it all of the time.
And it's not just for some, it's for everyone. It's not just for me and Cindy and a couple other people out there. It's for you. You are meant to have this in your life as well. Here's the catch. You're the only one who can bring it into your life. By applying the principles that we talk about and those two things, changing our perspective so that we can change our life. All right, Ash, well, how do I change my perspective? Well, first of all, surrender to the recognition that we can't be perfect. And it's never going to happen in this lifetime. So how can I become humble in order to grow into the happy, healthy person that I want to be today?
I think you could probably surrender and ask for help to start.
That's what I did.
That's what I did too. So surrender is key here. Like you don't just surrender once. I know I don't. I surrender many times on many different levels to many different things. And I used to think that that meant I was a quitter, and I've learned that surrendering makes me a winner. I receive freedom from surrender and acceptance.
Yeah, here's the key. The faster you can surrender, the quicker you're going to attain all of the good things that you've ever wanted.
It's almost like instant gratification. Almost.
It's true. And the more you can surrender on a daily basis in larger capacity, the more and more good will come into your life.
Not just some of the time either.
All the time.
All the time.
Honestly, it just keeps getting better.
It does keep getting better. Like I never imagined in my wildest dreams that my life would be the way it is today. That I wake up every single day in amazement that this is the life that I get to live. And here's the thing, like I say get to, not have to. Because I don't have to do any of this. I get to do it today. It is a part of my life. I have implemented it. I do it on a consistent basis because it produces the results that I want. And if it's producing the results I want, why wouldn't I keep doing it? It's not one of these things like, okay, well, it worked, so I'm going to stop doing it now. That's like my old mindset. No, it worked, so I'm going to keep doing it.
If you want something different, then you got to do something different. That's what we've done. We just continue to progress by doing that which is different, that is producing the good results in our lives.
I'm just smiling because I've known Ashley a while now, and this is not the person I first met right here. She's smiling and she's happy and she has everything she ever wanted and more. And it's all because she got out of her own way. And she finally just stopped listening to herself.
And I stopped fighting everything and everyone around me.
Yeah, surrender and acceptance. That's what we do on a daily basis. Stop fighting, join the winning team, fight the good fight. You got to do whatever you got to do to get to where you're going, right? And sometimes it comes from the most unlikely people. I will tell you that.
So if you're in a situation that you don't like, or if you feel like you have to do something, but you don't want to do it, guess what? You don't have to do it anymore. You can make a change in your life today by listening to us and implementing the two things.
And it does work, not just some of the time. It works every time.
Well, thanks for listening in today for Life for Dummies.
I'm Cindy.
And I'm Ashley.
And we're real dumb.
Real dumb.